We're joined by Austin Aigbe, an election expert and member of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, for a broader assessment of the race. Thank you very much for being here. We have less than 48 hours to the election, yet the dominant conversation has been violence, threats, and political confrontations. Has the voter been effectively blindsided, perhaps denied the opportunity to properly compare the ideas, policies, and records of the candidates?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. But let me quickly state that what you are seeing in Osun is not new in any subsequent election. It is not new. It wasn't new in Ekiti. It wasn't new in Anambra election. It's always the balls that happen before election. The Osun people, I expect, are waiting for August the 15th to vote the person that they want as governor. So what you normally will see, like today, Thursday, is usually the mega rally of all of the parties, so to say. But you know that Accord is only as a go-back candidate, governorship candidate, and of course the sitting governor. So it doesn't have any other strong state base. So that's why you're not seeing the kind of balls that APC has put out today from Accord. But in any way, it's a norm. It is a usual thing that happens when the state governor is alone. You may see that if you're going to have an election in an Abia state, for instance, or elsewhere, where you don't have the national party at the state level. It's a normal phenomenon. So the Abia people, the Osun people would have decided, and I hear them speak, I hear them waiting for August, on Saturday to cast their vote.
Okay, so if I get you correctly, they've not been blindsided by or distracted by all of the rhetoric and violence and threats that we've been bombarded with in the last couple of days. Moving on, beyond the rhetoric, though, what substantive difference is there in ideology, governance, and policy that has been seen among these contenders, and why have those issues struggled to gain traction in this campaign?
So again, back to these political campaigns that we have in our country, where people literally engage in rallies that they say nothing, sometimes absolutely nothing. You see the musician at the back end is actually overriding those who are talking, like the one you had today. The Senate president represented the president in the campaign, asking for the vote to link up to the national level. It didn't quite talk about what to expect. And if you look at the town hall that took place recently, where they had the opportunity to have teased out how they will go about whatever intention they wanted to achieve. But that didn't also come out. You may not be able to hold them really accountable. But there was a presentation that took place today at the Situation Room refresher course for the deployed observers that will be going out on Saturday across the 30 local governments. There's some kind of data gathering where a civil society organization has actually picked up those vital conversations and have put them into a kind of website, coordinated website, where you could even compare candidates based on what they are talking about. And arguably, majority are talking about, if you vote me, one of them, which of course is the city governor, if you vote me, I am going to continue on this trajectory. The other candidates are talking about, if you vote me, I'm going to make sure there's electricity 24/7. The other is talking about investment in agriculture, etc. But if you listen to the town hall recently, when the moderator had asked one of the candidates, how do you intend to go about this? And the feedback was a bit of an embarrassment, to say the least, where a candidate would then reply that the way you are saying it now is getting me thinking. So it has happened in state A, B, C. And if you look at those state A, B, C that the candidate has mentioned, I'm not too sure there's 24-hour electricity in those states. And if people just do a simple Even an AI check will give you those evidence. Show me a state, you can on the AI, even as the Meta AI on our WhatsApp. Just go there and tap on it. Is there any state in Nigeria that enjoy 24-hour electricity? And too sure Meta AI will give you enough evidence. So when politicians speak, they make this statement that look as if they are going to build skyscraper in the air without telling us the number of feet that will go down below.
Yeah, well,
you know, they have the way of telling us they're going to put condition on our street and they will put the heat on the ground without telling us how. So it's a pain.
One would hope that the people who don't have access to the internet will also have this information so they can make informed decision. But let's move on a little and also take on other aspects. We've had security show of force. We've had allegations of killings and intimidation. Of course, we're still talking about the Fadausi controversy. And at that APC rally, you saw a faction of the Accord join the APC. And now we have a legal action involving the police. At what point does this level of tension begin to undermine the credibility of the electoral process itself?
Those violence, particularly the electoral violence and, of course, the killings that are linked to election, it's something that worries. But I will rather argue, in fact, we've had that conversation when we're looking at those data, that what can we really pick down as death connected to the election. For instance, there were some killings in February of this year where there was clashes at the point where certain local government chair wanted to resume forcefully or whatever means, and there were certain conflict that took place at that event. Can we link those deaths to the August 15th election? Maybe I would say no. But there have been series of events beginning from sometime last year that moved up to April of this year. And then a few months ago, even when the PDP had convention, there were certain issues too. But I would say that violence undermined participation. For instance, the senator who later would change his word, that he didn't say kill them, he rather would say kill them with votes. Meanwhile, he had clearly made a statement that cannot be retracted. There are people, millions of people have already seen the initial videos. Even they also allege that there were AI content, there were those who couldn't interpret in Yoruba. I think those were ways to maybe some of an advisory from his party people. If you hear when Oshomole was campaigning, he was talking about the APC was the party of peace. He's not trying to send a message to say, what you may have heard, it's not necessarily true that this party is a party of peace. So why do we need to go into those narratives? Citizens are a bit worried. But again, what I've seen from the civil society organization report, from a Situation Room Observer report, the conversation that has gone on, there seems to be some level of confidence, again, with the deployment of security architecture, the show of force that happened, even though we know the conflict between the state administration and the police at some point, with the commissioner of police at some point, that has a bit changed. A few days ago, these citizens were thinking that with the new commissioner, there could have been prosecution, transparent prosecution, so that it can ignite certain level of trust in the electoral process. But that hasn't happened. It hasn't happened for many reasons, because again, the commissioner of police want to focus on the election, get the election out of the way, but by the 16th or 17th or maybe 18th of August, a few days after the election, all of these tension will just die down, because the election would have been clearly over.
To after that in peace and everything goes smoothly. If the objective is a free, fair and credible election, what are the three most urgent things in your view that INEC and security agencies, as well as political parties, must get right between now and the close of polls on Saturday, so we can be talking about what happened in the peaceful process when the days are over?
First, we think that it is important for political actors to de-escalate violent languages, de-escalate it, and rather send proper messages to the political landscape. All of those who have made those violent statements, they need to come back, and I see the senator have already started making a retraction of whatever he has said. That is very important. Political actors, particularly the big wins, the godfathers, must de-escalate violence by publicly acknowledging peaceful, free, fair, and credible election. That is one. Then two, the police, of course, who is in charge of election, the security, has an opportunity to create that peaceful environment by speaking to the issues that they think will man this area. The police has done mapping of the security areas, the violent area or the red areas. It is time to really in a way, adjust whatever mechanism they may have adopted, they may have been planned for to suit the citizens. Get the civil society involved in this narrative of peace engagement. Get the media involved in speaking to people. Beyond the media, get the traditional rulers to speak peace before the day of election. We still have tomorrow. Again, campaign has ended. Any form of statement that is released must not be politically related. Don't ask for vote. Your campaign ends tonight. Again, so INEC sensitive material arrived about 8 o'clock, 8:32, or thereabout. INEC has agreed to move material tonight to the local government area. I think INEC need to move material tomorrow to the Super RAC so that elections can begin as early as stated in the rule on the day of election. Any attempt to delay polling on Saturday may create a sense of some perception that may not be too good for the fairness of the election. And I think INEC must going to speak what he must continue to do what he has said. And let me give the commissioner, the resident electoral commissioner.
Austin, we have to go now. I'm sorry, that's the much time will permit us. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.